in the matchless name of Jesus. This video is going to be doing my review of The Walking Dead Season 5, Episode 10, Them. So we open up with Maggie against a tree. She's just like crying. It looks like she's starving, and then a walker comes behind her, and then she stabs it in the head. So, yeah. And then we go back, see Daryl, Maggie, and Sasha. They're heading back with the group. And then we go to the opening credits, and we go back there, and we just basically see the condition of the group. They're drained. They're thirsty. They've been on the road for a long time. Their car is out of gas, and they are very, very exhausted. we get to see some interaction between Maggie and Sasha. Sasha and Michonne. Michonne is like, Michonne is like making a comment that she and Tyrese were very much alike, and then they're like, and then Sasha's like, no, I'm not, and then Sasha's like, I could take them all on, and then she decides against it, per Michonne's orders, and as they're walking by, we get to see some Daryl and Carol are going out looking for some stuff, and there's having some interaction between them about Beth, the death of Beth, and then it ends with Carol just kissing Daryl on the forehead, which was really cool. So, and then they continue further, and then we see they go on the. They're getting close. Maggie's heading for a trunk of a car. She sees some walker in there bound and gagged. Then she closes it. Then she tries to go open it up again, and then they try to kill it. She's trying to do something with it. I don't know. And then kill. And then she stops, and then Glenn grabs her hand. She opens it, and then they kill both the walkers there. I need to just say this as well. I was just on pins and needles hoping that Maggie would not attempt suicide, because if you guys have read the comic, after Maggie just loses all of her family, she goes down she attempts suicide at some point, and then so I was worried that the same thing would happen with her, and fortunately it did not. So that's good. So anyway, there's some interaction between Maggie and Glenn, and Maggie just makes it loud and clear that she thought that Beth was dead. So that's good. That's good. So that just silences all the naysayers and the doubters that thought that Maggie A did not care about her sister, or B forgot about her, or C a combination of the two. So we get to see as they're divided. There's some walkers coming the other way, and as they're divided on two ends, and they're killing both of them. Just getting out of their way and letting them fall. So whereas Sasha is just stabbing them in the head, and Michonne's trying to restrain her, and then at some point after it's all over, Michonne and Sasha were staring at each other. Looks like it's about to get a little tense. So, and it looked like they were about to throw down for a minute there. So it's like, yeah, they're going through some tough stuff at this point. So then also by the way, there's some dogs there which they meet, which confront them. They look like they're about to attack, and then Sasha kills each and every one of them out of anger. And so they just take it, they roast it, and they have some food, dog meat. And Noah's at the end of feels like he's losing faith in himself as well. So this is just like the lowest point for all of them. And then they get to by the way, I like the interaction between Maggie and Carl. Carl gives Maggie this box with a ballerina music and a ballerina in it, and that I need to go back to that later. It'll become important in the end. And then they go to the, and then they get to the, and then they are going to the way of, and then they are heading to they're close nearby to a barn, and all of a sudden it starts raining, and then they're like all excited, and then Tara and Rosita are in the rain, are sitting down in the rain, sitting on the street in the rain, and then they're like enjoying it, and people are like opening their mouths, swallowing up the raindrops. Like, wow. This is after there's some water put in front of them, and Daryl finds something saying it's from a friend. So, and then Eugene tries to drink some, and Abraham slaps it out. And so, yeah. So it's like they're getting a little desperate at this point. And then, anyways, they're in the rain. They realize that there are darker clouds coming and that it's a thunderstorm. And then Daryl says there is a storm. And there is a barn over there. And then they run inside, and then they place things there. And then Maggie finds a walker inside, and then she stabs into the head. And then Carol says they should keep on going. So, and then Rick gives talks about his grandfather, and he was fighting in the World War II, and then how he kept on pretending he was dead, talking about how his grandfather pretended he was dead, and then then Rick says, "We are the Walking Dead." That was good. And he says, Rick says something similar in the comic book, back at the prison, after they have disposed of a serial killer, and says something, only this here, it's much more in a depressing situation. And then as they are walking, and then Michonne's like, "We can go on, there's hope. There's hope." And then Rick's like, "This is reality until we see otherwise." And all of a sudden, everybody's just like drained out. Like Rick, by the way, when Rick made that speech, there was Rick, Carol, Michonne, Daryl, and Glenn. And Carl was knocked out at that point. Yeah. So anyways, Daryl sees all the way over there at the barn opening that there are a bunch of walkers there. And then he tries to keep it closed, and he's struggling. Maggie sees him do that, and then he runs to help him, and then everybody else goes there, and then we go. They're doing everything they can, and it's like everything in their power to do that, and they can't do that. And then all of a sudden it's ending, and then they wake up, and all the walkers are gone. And then Maggie sees Daryl there. They have a short little conversation, and then we go to, and then she and Sasha go out there. They have a little chit chat, which ends with Maggie saying we should go and keep on hoping. And Maggie has the ballerina music box with her, and then they try to open it up, and nothing comes out at first. And then before you know it, a guy who calls himself named Aaron comes out and says he needs to speak with the leader, Rick. And then before you know it, the music from the ballerina box starts playing. That can't be coincidence. That just has to mean that hope is on the way. Hope is clearly on the way. It is. And by the way, as a note, Aaron is a character from the comic books, and he is a part of part of what is known as the Alexandria Safe Zone in DC. Just so you know, the Alexandria Safe Zone in DC is kind of like a gated sort of post-ZA community where Rick and where go, and they stay there for the rest of their duration, and they're still there for the rest of the duration of the comic book. And Rick eventually becomes leader of the Safe Zone. And so we have, and then it's like, so this is just give you a heads up that this is where the story for the TV show is going. So, anyways, this was an amazing episode. I really, really loved this. It showed the desperation of the group. I'm going to have to give this a 10 out of 10. Again, this was an amazing episode. I can't wait for the next one. All right, that's all for this video.